This is Sports Inside and Out. Legends of Sports, the voice of legends of sports. When legends speak, people listen. Now, here's your host, the coach, Chuck Hatcher.
All right, this is Coach Hatcher, host of Sports Inside and Out, Legends of Sports, voice of the Legends of Sports. When legends speak, people listen. And I want to welcome to our 2-for-1 series today. That's right, we talked about it in our promos and leading into it for the past week or so. The 2-for-1 series features one of the two greatest Olympian legends. Right here, giving you the news you can use with the history and social and political and other things that's going on around the sports of track and field and more. And this is leading into something very special with a celebratory in Colorado Springs at the Olympic Hall of Fame, where these two legends regained their uniqueness and their camaraderie with some of the greatest names and personalities in the Olympics, because history was made out there. And who else better than to talk about it is the more Dr. John Carlos, we call him now, because he's really a voice of political stability and political atmospheres that goes around in the Olympic Committee, the Olympic world, I should say. Hey, John, what's going on? Just give us an insight about that great celebratory out there, man.
Coach, it was a great opportunity to come together with my childhood friend, which is in the name of Bob Beamon, to be on the panel with also my teammate from college, Tommie Smith, the great Dr. Tommie Smith, and then one of my idols and mentors, Mr. Billy Mills, that was the first gold medal winner in 50 years since the great Jim Thorpe to represent America. These are two of the American Indians that represent the United States. And then you could look at it in terms of Mr. Beamon being a person of color, Mr. Smith being a person of color, and yours truly a person of color. Well, Mr. Mills is a person of color as well. But you sit back and think about him being an American Indian and think that we have such a parallel situation in life based on racism and prejudice that held him up from the greatness that he had to offer to the world. But as all three of us had broken through and pressed on and became who we became, although we had these oppressions in front of us. Mr. Mills had a wonderful story in terms of how he started as a child and had ambitions to grow up with his mom and his dad, and his mom died, and his dad was sick and had to go to the hospital, in which carried him on, and his dad kept telling him, fight. I'm your wind under your wings. Carry on, be who you are, make your own history. And for him to go and do what he did, the stories that was given that day at that panel discussion were treasures of history.
No question. Bob, how was it with your impact, man? That I gotta always joke you, Bob. You have the only Olympic record that's never been broken in 50 years, and that was the '68 Olympic with one of the greatest jumps of all time. And I always joke you, Bob, when are you coming back down? Because he jumped so long, I thought he was an astronaut. I thought he was still up there. But as you see, his icon pose was something that's been treasured by many and is still relevant as to today. Bob, I'm so happy to call you a friend, and I'm so proud of what you've done, not just for the history of sports, but the history of the Olympics, along with John Carlos. But what was it like out there for you, Bob?
Well, I guess when you have three major people like John, Billy Mills, and Tommie, I think what happens to people is that they want to know more detail. What happened that day, why it happened, why was it so different? But also, at the same time, I mean, there were other extenuating circumstances that happened too. But as we first rolled into Mexico City, I would think at least 3,000 students were shot down in the street of protest. I mean, that alone could set people back, not really understanding what was going on during that time in Mexico City. So it was a surprise, but to overcome so many obstacles as a African American or Native American, you cannot believe how far we were set back in those days. But to hear the stories of how we overcame the obstacles that were right there put in our way, but we either jumped over them or moved around them. We knew how to maneuver. We knew how to get across to the finish line.
You know,
I like to think we went through them.
Yeah, yeah. You know, guys, I was privileged enough to be in the Olympic trials, the '68 Olympics, and of course, the guys, the JoJo and all the guys, they went on to do a great thing and winning the gold medal. But we always remember this being one of the most watched Olympic of all times because of the difficulties that y'all had to overcome, because it was already a sense of tenseness around the world, and right there in Mexico City, like Bob was spanning, y'all were under giant pressure, man, giant pressure. And in order to make it known and what things that stood up, the icon, or I would say the icon photo of the Olympics was taken there with Bob Beamon, San Carlos, John Smith, and your other peer from Australia that I know y'all will go over there, man. How did it feel? What was the thinking of you cats going out there in front of y'all were being watched by well over the most watched Olympic in history? That's had to be what, close to 1 billion people, man. You know.
Well, you have to take into account, Coach, that we had a lot of things going on socially, morally, economically, from every sphere you can imagine. Remember, we had the Vietnam War was taking place. We had all the American demonstrations, civil rights demonstrations that were starting to break out in America. We had the potential Olympic boycott. We had the government coming down, big business coming down, and not to mention those individuals that was our competitors that we had to get ready physically and mentally to challenge for that medal. Yet and still, we still culminated ourselves, and we had the individuals that come from the other side of the world relative to my play in the Olympic Games to lend support in the name of Mr. Peter Norman. To lend support to say, I believe in human rights, I believe in equality, I believe in fair play, and chose to be a part of that particular movement that will endure time.
Amen. Bob?
Well, on that day at the Olympic training facility and museum, I think everyone took a stop to take a look at how deeply we were involved in how this world would change, and particularly America. If we go back to 1960, we had athletes on the team, Black athletes on the team, that came from a southern state that they weren't even allowed to vote, but yet and still we represented the United States of America in Rome. Of winning gold medals. I mean, we had Wilma Rudolph, we had Rafer Johnson. I mean, we had some incredible athletes that played not only in the track and field, but in basketball. And so this was, to me, a beginning of saying, look, we are now talking about something that happened 50 years ago that's still going on today. And if you really look at this this video that we did in Colorado Springs, it was going as a sports thing, and then it got to the point where people were just saying, "This is unbelievable! All the things that were transitioning, all the things that were happening was so incredible that people just stopped and just said, I didn't actually know all of this stuff was going on, but there was not only that, but I had just lost my scholarship of protesting against Brigham Young.
That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right.
Just before the game stopped.
Right.
So,
well, Bob, can I ask one thing also, guys? That what we want to make sure, and y'all are really the ambassadors of the '68 Olympics, because regardless of Kareem not playing, there was a boycott when Kareem Abdul-Jabbar didn't do it all. The situations with the other boxers and things of that nature, but the whole world was really on you guys' shoulders and looking at what you did there in Mexico City, because that particular Olympics changed the tide of American sports around the world, because it made y'all more impactful. And listeners, I wanted y'all to know this. These two gentlemen are more renowned and respected in other parts of the world than they are sometimes appreciated in their own country. That speaks a lot for them. They're on demand they're on big demand around the world for their presence, for their history, for their words that they have to say about the history of sports. Then they appreciate it here in the United States. And man, I would call this a damn shame, because you guys epitomize all it is to strive to be a Black American on a national stage or national platform, and prove and stand up for what it is to have the rights of a human being in the world. So hats off to you, and I hope all of you listeners pay attention to this, because these guys are continually going to have something to say to you that involves the impact of sports history in society. That means a lot. That means a lot. So you guys are more respected by other people of other nationalities and races than you are sometimes in your own home America. But at least now, some degree, the old timers who came on your back, well, now the old timers, I should say, we appreciate it.
Chuck, if I can add to that, what Mr. Beamon had to say earlier, we have such a long track record of enduring diversity,
right,
and challenging at the same time. When I say challenging, I'm talking about challenging us as Black people in America. When you sit back, you think about, Bob mentioned, the 1960 Olympics. Well, we can go back another 36 years, from 1932 to 1968, and realize, based on how the complexities were relative to race relations in America, those individuals in 1932 didn't have a great life. Most of them did not have a great life, but they chose to represent America. When they went to the Olympic Games, they did extraordinary things to represent America, came out with a high medal count in Nazi Germany. They didn't complain about the treatment that was being thrust upon them. They wanted to show America the better side, that, hey, we are American, we love America, and we want to represent and do well for America. But when they got back home, the same thing that they had to endure to try and make the team, they had to endure. The history had gone on from 32 to 56 to 1960, and straight on up to 1968 in the present day. We've always been on the front line in terms of trying to represent America and letting America know it's okay to want to represent your black athletes, your black citizens of this great nation. We are tired of always having to push the issue or kick the ball down the road to make you recognize our greatness in this great country.
Well, one thing I want to ask right now, guys, we're going to continue on just so we're going to try to drain as much as we can out of this show. I'm talking to producer Mike Zillow over here because this messaging is so crucial at this particular time in our nation as we speak, or the world as we speak. Let's talk about right now, ever so quickly, guys. And we're going to come back and talk about the upcoming Olympics on your next 2-for-1 segment, because I know that's going to be very, very impactful as well. But let's finish the last few segments or minutes of this segment to talk about, man, what do you guys think about what in the world is happening in our society today, and how can the legends and people of sports who have always been ambassadors of peace and of camaraderie around the world, how can we be involved in any way? And explain to me how you feel about this situation in this country as we speak right now, man.
Let me make something very interesting. As we slowly creep up on 2028, right now we probably see countries that are having a difficult time interpreting all the things that are being changed here in this country.
Yeah.
And so, what does it do to 2028 in the Olympics with companies? Are we going to get the support that we usually get for the Olympics for every 4 years, or every winter games and every summer games? And so, will we be able to maintain that powerful presence when the Olympics are always given here in the United States? It's usually looking darn good, and the companies are usually right along with us in support of sports today.
Well, you know that with the way this situation is going on with 45 guys, I can't help but insert this in there. It's going to be a real effort, and I know Dr. John Carlos. We're talking about the Dr. John Carlos right now, not the track and field Dr. John Carlos. I know you got something to put out there to appear along and collaborate with what Bob is alluding to. It is a tragedy of justice and morality, the way things are going in this country right now, with the racial situation being perpetrated right now. But we can say this as we speak right now. And John, I know you have something to really close out this issue with us. What are your opinions, Dr. John Carlos, not the track legend, Dr. John Carlos, on what is going on in this nation?
Look like we're trying to have a, how can I say, not democracy. They're trying to destroy American democracy from my perspective, relative to the White House on down through the Congress and the Senate. All the Republicans that's out there, they seem like things that they've done in the past, they want to erase that, and they want to say the Democrats are coming out doing these things that have never been done before, such as what's happening in the state of Texas right now, where they want to, change the boundary lines and so forth, and don't let you have a vote on it. They just want to dictate in terms of what's going to happen. So with all this taking place, and I'm thinking more to myself about how the Olympics is coming here, and Mr. Trump is going to be in the White House at that particular time. And I'm concerned about whether this man will try and dominate and control the Olympic movement altogether, whether he will try and capsize the United States Olympic Committee, as well as try and chastise the International Olympic Committee and take it over. We have many social issues right now with our athletes. We need mentors that can sit down and talk to these young athletes and let them know how they're supposed to conduct themselves, let them know how to get out of this hot water situations you might be in. I have a concern that young girl, Sakura Richardson, I think she's a fantastic athlete. I have a lot of concern about her reputation and her history or legacy. And someone should be there to guide this young individual. I admire her young boyfriend for the way he handled the situation in terms of saying, no, rather than me throwing wood in the fire, I'm going to try and water this thing down because it's not what you're trying to make it. They don't realize that they're putting a tremendous amount of more pressure on these individual athletes, just the same way as they did with the young gymnastics of Miss Biles years ago after she had won. And then they came back and they try and put a whole bunch of pressure on her, unnecessary pressure for her to go out and represent the United States. We need to gather ourselves and make sure that we're in a proper position to have these Olympics come up where we will be well-rounded. Not just merely to go in the field and win medals, but to be well-rounded and be confident in who we are as young men and young women in the sport. Have the agencies, the government, the Olympic Committee, the International Olympic Committee, the track coaches, for all of us to be well-rounded enough to support this team, to support these athletes, to make sure they can bring out their best and feel good about bringing the best out. And at the same time, to make sure that with the money that's flying around, there's many athletes that say, yeah, there's money out there, but there's only the first 5 top tier that gets that money. It's a tremendous amount of individuals under that tier that doesn't get anything. Those are the individuals that I'm concerned about whether they're going to sleep under the bridge once their retirement is come about. We have to make sure we set a system up, and people need to open their mouths and be concerned about those individual athletes. We can't just be concerned about the superstars, because remember, everybody come out of the doldrum in terms of saying, I'm going to make a reputation for myself. But everyone doesn't cross that path. Everyone doesn't go into superstardom. But they're part of the machinery, and they cannot be forgotten, as the fact is that they need to be represented just as much when they retire as the number one individuals in the sport.
You know, that goes without saying. We're going to say, as we said with Wally Jones, our Hall of Fame co-host of the Wally Wonder Show, or host of the Wally Wonder Show, stand up for something or you fall for anything. So one thing you got to do is that our young, as Tim Reed, our dear collaborator in broadcasting and filming, he says, the actor, said that now's the time for the legends and those of has a legacy to put out. Our legacy is what we present to our youth today. And sports is truly a conduit for success in society if we go about it the right way. And the only way you can do that is listen to those that have been through the trials and tribulations, who have paid the price for them to be to the point they are today in sports, such as Bob Beamon, John Carlos, and all of the legends in basketball, football, baseball, track and field, boxing. Hey, listen, this is what we have to give to our society today. In the words of Dr. Richard Lapchuk in Sports and Society, we are the conduit for the world. And what we do is always going to be looked at, because there's always a camera, click, 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 looking at everything that those of substance are doing. So we got to be on guard 24/7. Hey, listen, we got to get out of here now, guys. My producer, of course, Max Zillers, to put the thing over, but we had to go over a little bit more. Y'all are such a treat and such a treasure for this channel and for the legends of sports, man. And I look forward to a long and prosperous continuation of 2 for 1, to be able to tell the stories, the deeds, the historical facts, and the projections of history, and what you can do if you listen to those that have the wisdom before you. And guys, I love you to death. You want to say hi to anybody particular? And also, we want to make sure, please subscribe at the bottom of the page. Please subscribe to us. Or hit the like. We want to be able to continually come back to you with the news you can use from those that help make the game sports. All right, guys, let's give a quick little.
I'd like everybody to go out with the thought in mind that every time we close this show, we want to leave you with much love. Much love to you, your family, and your friends.
All right, wow.
I would say just wait until you see the next. It's going to be fun.
All right.
I just want to pump up the volume just a little bit.
There you go, guys. There you go. Love you to death and look forward to a long and prosperous 2 for 1. This is going to be a fantastic show for everyone to watch. I'm your host, Coach Chuck Hatchett, the host of Sports Inside Out, Legends of Sports, and with the collaborators of the 2 for 1 show here on Sports Inside and Out. Thanks a lot, guys. I'll check with you later.
All right. Max, you got your work cut out for you.
Ha.